Now, I understand that, what you said in the first half was that traditional Western therapy offers us a way of healing from bereaved that leaves us with a lot of unfinished business.
Well, there's two different issues with Western grief therapy. The first is, and this is really appalling, the whole Western therapeutic community has come up with new diagnostic labels, complicated grief syndrome, other labels. If you haven't snapped out of it in 6 months, you better get on with your life. If you're still grieving, if you're still thinking about somebody, something's wrong with you, we got to put a label on you, we got to put you on meds. This is appalling. I mean, this just makes no sense to me at all. And the thing is, when you push this down somebody's throat, you better move on. You make the bereaved feel an even greater loss because instead of saying, listen, reconnect, don't say goodbye, the peace and the healing that just comes from knowing we still have a relationship. It's just a different relationship. Yeah. It's a spiritual relationship. That brings so much peace and healing you can't believe to thousands of people that I've helped to just reconnect. So the first thing that I'm doing here is I'm saying, don't say goodbye, say hello. Don't put this demand on yourself that you have to strip yourself away from these people that you love. And now the second way that my method differs is, well, like I said, traditional Western grief therapy doesn't give us a way of making peace. So I have a method I call dialoguing with the departed, where I enable you to talk back and forth until you arrive at an understanding. Like, for example, I had a patient whose father actually molested her and then left home. Wow. And as a little girl, she would go to the mailbox every day looking for a letter from him. This was a ritual her whole life. She never got a letter. And one day, she's in her 50s, and she gets this feeling as she's crossing the bridge in my area that he died. She just knew it. Mm-hmm. And it turned out she was right. So decades later, she's had many breakdowns, depression, anxiety. She comes to me for therapy, and it's clear to me she has unfinished business with her dad. Yeah. So I help her go into a state of receptivity, and we begin to dialogue, right? And what's amazing is we did this in a group, and she started to hear her father say, when she began to rage at him, why did you leave me? I heard him say, I didn't know what else to do. But she heard him say, I didn't know. So she was already beginning to open up her receiver. She heard a partial sentence. So we back and forth dialogue with him. The cool thing about this is beings in spirit accept you right where you are. Mm-hmm. So they have an eternity to work it out with you. You can rage at them as long as you need to, right?
Right.
You don't have to say, you've got to forgive. You've got none of that. They accept you. And this father stayed with her. She raged at him. She raged at him. And eventually she came to a feeling of peace. She understood he left because he didn't know how to stop himself. There was no therapy in those days, so he left to protect her, and she went through a rapprochement with him, and they reconnected, and it was a process of dialoguing, Mm-hmm. And I show in the book exactly how to do it. And sometimes we need to do a supervised visitation where you visualize I'm with you, and we've got the other person strapped in a chair, whatever you got to do to say what you need to say, and you go back and forth. And the cool thing is it works even if you don't believe in the afterlife.
Right.
The dialoguing will heal you. It will heal your unfinished business even if you don't believe. I have some examples of that also in Love Never Dies.